Hello viewers, you're welcome to my channel once again. Today on my channel we are going to learn how to cut a fitted gown, a straight cut /pencil dress that is fitted. I want to say a big thank you to my subscribers, especially those who like, share, who would like after watching and then share my video. And then if you are new to this channel, please I would like you to subscribe and then turn on your notification button so that each time there is a new video you'll be notified. Okay, let's begin right away. So here with me I have my fabric on fold. It's already on fold, as you can see. The length of the fabric is 32 inches, the width is 24 inches. So as it's folded like this, the width is now 12 inches. So as you can see, this is my reference line, my shoulder line. So the shoulder measurement I'm making use of is 14 inches, and I'm going to divide into 2. When I divide into 2, I will have 7 inches. So I'm going to mark it on the shoulder line. So on this shoulder line, I want to get my shoulder slant. And your shoulder slant can be anything from 0.5 to 1.5 inches below. Although the most preferred is 1 inch just below. So I'm going to come down by 1 inch. So this 1 inch, I'm going to run it down, join it to this line. So from this shoulder slant, I'm going to measure the rest of the horizontal lines. First, the second horizontal line after your shoulder line is your bust line, which is 9 or 10 inches from the shoulder line or from the shoulder slant, depending on how the person is. So this person is quite slim, so the bust point is 9 inches. The next one is the waistline. Still from the shoulder line, shoulder slant, I'm measuring it down. 16 inches. Draw out a straight line after marking. The next one is the hip line. That is 24 inches from the shoulder line, or 8 inches from the waistline. And then the full length is 30 inches. Take it down to the full length, 30 inches. So now that we are done with our horizontal lines, the next thing will be to begin to impute our measurements. So in imputing our measurements, the bust circumference is 34 inches. So I'm going to divide by 4. Whatever I get, I'll add 2 inches sewing allowance to it. This is into 2. You can use your calculator to do that. You can also use your tape just by folding. I'll mark it from here. That is 8.5 inches. Then I'm going to add 2 inches sewing allowance. And then on the waistline, waist circumference is 27. I'm going to divide into 4, whatever I have. I will then add 1 inch dart allowance on the waistline because it's a fitted gown. So I'm going to add my dart allowance of 1 inch on the waistline. 27. Divided by 13.5 into 4. 6.75. I'm going to place it on the waistline. I'm going to mark. One inch sewing allowance, 1 inch dart allowance, and then 2 inches sewing allowance. It's only on the waist that you are adding that dart allowance. Next one is on the hip. The hip is 35 inches, hip circumference. So I'm going to divide into 4. .75. I'll add it. Then 2 inches sewing allowance after marking. The next one is on the full length, that is 30 inches we marked earlier, on the hem of the garment, the full length. Now if you want it to be penciled, this is how you are going to do it. You're just going to measure whatever you have on the hip line. You're going to remove 2 inches from it and mark it on the hemline. That is if you want it to be penciled. But if it is a fitted stretch cut gown, you don't need to do that. You just need to go ahead and just trace it down. What you have exactly on the hip, you put it here. So it is a penciled skirt. So I'm going to measure everything I have here. I have 10.75 here. So I'm going to remove 2 inches and that will give me 8.75. I will just mark it exactly on the hemline. Then I must tell you this. It all depends on how much you want it to be penciled. If you want it to be more penciled than this, then you can remove 3 inches or 4 inches. If you want it to be a little bit not as penciled as this, just small, you can just remove 1 inch, so 1 inch sewing 1 inch from the hip line. I hope you get me. So it all depends on what you want. I'm removing 2 inches because I want it to be that penciled. If you don't want it to be too penciled, you can just remove 1 inch. If you want it to be more penciled, you can remove 3 inches from whatever measurement you have on your hip line. So that's exactly what I'm doing. 8.6. So that's exactly what I have. There's no other measurement you need for this. It's a penciled gown. That's just the only difference between a penciled fitted gown and a straight cut fitted gown. That's the only difference. Every other thing is the same. Okay, now I'm back to the shoulder. Let's carve out our armhole. You divide your shoulder into 2. Shoulder is 14 inches, divided into 2 is 7 inches. But you can decide I want to add an extra 0.5 inches to the shoulder depth. Sorry, to the armhole depth. You divide your shoulder into 2. You can add 1 extra inch, but me, I'm adding 0.5 inches to it because it's a fitted gown, so I wouldn't like it to be too bulky. So 7.5, I'm going to mark it down this way from the shoulder slant down. And I'm going to connect this point to this point just with a straight line. I have a video on basic bodice. You can watch my video on that. Shifted dress, or shift dress rather. You can watch my video on that to understand better how to draft your shoulder, your armhole depth. So the next thing to do now is you find the midpoint of this line. You can find it by just folding into 2. So you mark your midpoint. So now that you've marked it, the next thing is just to connect this place to this place using this place to this place using a curve. Now, if you watch my previous video on basic bodice, you understand that the armhole of the front is deeper. So I'm going to come in go in by 1 inch or 0.5, any one between 0.5 and 1 inch. But on the back, you're not going to do this. You're just going to remove the 0.5 while drafting it out. So I'm going to connect. This point to this point first. And then I'll bring it in. Or you can just do freehand sketching, especially if you don't have a French curve. So we've curved our armhole depth. If you want to understand better how I explained it, you can watch my video on basic bodice. I took time to explain how to do that. Just connect this point to this point using a curve. Okay, so the next thing now is to connect your points. Connect all these points using a straight line. today is your first time of coming across my channel, I would like you to subscribe, also turn on your notification button so that whenever there is a new video you'll be notified. So as you can see, it's a very short gown. That's because we plan adding 2 steps flat to it, and I will also post the video when I'm done. But basically, this is the part for the pencil dress. You will have to attach to it. That's why the length is quite short. So we are going to add flat to it down. So the next thing now is to cut out. But before you cut out, you can as well decide to draft out your back. Okay, no, let's cut it out first. It's easier, so that we can take off the excesses. Please ask any question in the comment section if you have. Like and share this video. Subscribe if you are yet to. Just follow the line while cutting. So for the neck, I'm making use of a round neck, 3 inches deep, 3 inches wide. So all I'll just do is to come to the shoulder line, mark 3 inches. I'll go in by 3 inches. Then I'll come down by 3 inches. Then I'll connect the 2 points using a curve. You can watch my video on basic neckline to understand better. So I'm just going to trace it out now. After that, the next thing to do is to add sewing inches to your shoulder. If you don't do that while sewing, it will shorten. 1 inch, 0.5 inches, it all depends. Just make sure you have something you can sew the shoulder with, so it doesn't, this thing doesn't shorten. So I'm going to cut out right away. So as you can see, it's short. The next thing is to cut out the back pattern. You can see it's penciled. This is wait, let me cover this. It's too sharp. Make sure the edges are not that sharp. Carve it out. Okay, so as you can see, this is the hip line, and then it is penciled. Assuming it is maybe a longer pencil dress, you would have seen it more, but just like I told you, we are going to attach flat to it at the end. But this is the way to cut pencil. Whatever you have on your hip line, take it to the hem or to the full length of the gown. Remove 2 from it, or as much as you want it to be penciled, 3 inches, 4 inches, or thereabouts. So in cutting the back pattern, I'm just going to trace out exactly the same. So for the back pattern, as you can see, is on fold. You have to pin it together with the front panel. And now the only difference is going to be the zip allowance. The zip allowance. The zip allowance is just 1 inch. From 1 inch to 2 inches allowance. It all depends on how much you can manage for your zip. So but for this, I'm making use of 1 inch zip allowance from the shoulder down to the hem. Now the next difference is on the neck. The neck depth for the back is going to be a bit higher. That's just the difference. And then of course the armhole depth of the front panel is 0.5 deeper. For the back, I'm going to bring out that 0.5 and cut it exactly the way it is. That's just the basic difference. Aside that, every other thing is the same, so you're just going to trace it out like that. Make sure that while pinning, you gave a space, or you've given a space for your zip allowance. So we are just going to follow it exactly the way we have it here. For the neck, you can decide to make use of the same neck depth and neck width. So it depends on what you want. So you see how I'm going to come out by 0.5 inch. So you see the space I gave. This is 0.5 inches. And then I'll continue cutting exactly what I have. This is where we came out, this is where we went in. So for the neck, we are going in with so with that, we are done. Remember to label your front and back panel so you don't get confused. Remember that the back panel is wider by 1 inch because of your zip. Okay, we are back from the sewing machine. As you can see, I've turned with the lining, and this is the back. These are zip allowance. So when I want to attach the zip, I'll just open here till the point I want the zip to stop and sew in the zip. So the next thing we want to do now is to impute our dart. And imputing your dart on a fitted gown is quite different from imputing your dart on your basic bodice. For some of you that have watched my video on how to impute your darts, there is no much difference, but it's just 1 or 2 differences. So in imputing your darts, you fold into 2 as you can see. The way it was when you were cutting, you get the middle. Just fold exactly into 2. The way you folded when you were cutting. And as you can see, I replicated the measurement. So So to impute your dart, you fold exactly the same way you folded while cutting. Ensure that everything is equal. Ensure that when folding that it's equal. So once you folded, this is the open point, this is the folded area. As you can see, I replicated the measurements, my bust point, waistline, and hip line on the back, because that's where I'm going to sew from. So that's where I'm going to draft it on. So you come to your waistline. When you come to your waistline, you go in by 4 inches or 3 inches. Let me explain to you. That's the bust span. The bust span is the distance between the two nipples. For some people it is 8 inches, for some people 7 inches, for some people 6 inches. You can just measure yourself and find it out. The distance between the two nipples. Whatever you get, you divide it by 2. So for this person, her bust point is 7 inches. Divided by 2 is 3.5 inches. If yours is 8 inches, if you divide by 2, it will give you 4 inches. So her bust point is 3.5 inches. So on the waistline, I'm going to go in by 3.5 inches. Exactly 3.5 inches, no allowance. Then I'll come back to the bust line. I'll come down by 1 inch on the bust line. I'll mark it. This is 1 inch on the bust line. Then on the hip line, I will come up by 3 inches. You come down by 1 inch from the bust line. You come up by 3 inches from the hip line. So this is the 3 inches. You mark where the 3 stops. So these three points, now you are going to connect them using a straight line. This lining is disturbing. So you just connect using a straight line. Once you've done that, the next thing will be, this is not necessary, just connect the 3 points using a straight line, starting from where you marked your 3.5 inches. From that point, draw it up and draw it down to connect the 3 points. That's what matters. Then the next thing you are going to do is come back to your waistline. Remember when we were drafting, we added extra 1 inch to serve as our dart allowance. We are going to remove it now. So you come to your waistline. By the left of your waistline, you mark out ½ inch. ½ inch. By the right, you mark out another ½ inch. So this ½ inch you've marked out on both sides. Half plus half will give you 1 inch. By doing that, you are removing that 1 inch we added on the waistline. You are going to connect it to this straight line. You're connecting it to this straight line this way. Just connect it. Try to form a triangle with it. Just start from the line. Draw it wherever it stops. Start from this place. You take it down. Make sure it's on the ½ inch. You come to the other side, the same thing. Just connect it to that straight line. Do the same thing for the 3 inches you marked above from the hip line. Just connect it to the straight line. this lining is actually exactly. So when you draw it, you have something like this. So while sewing, you hold it this way. Mind you, are going to repeat this behind. Same for the back. So while sewing, you hold it this way. You just follow the line and sew. Wherever this thing stop, at the where it's pointed, that's where you stop. Don't take it to the hip line. Don't take it to the bust line. So you are going to sew from the back. Just follow the line. You fold it this way, you sew. You fold it this way and you sew. After doing that, now for the back, as you can see, the only difference between the back and the front is the zip allowance. So the zip allowance is already out. So while folding, you fold it this way. This is where the middle is. So don't include your zip allowance while measuring, if not it will affect it. Once you folded and you've ensured that the two folded parts are equal, this will now serve as your benchmark for the middle. You measure from here down, the waist, the hip and the rest. You input your darts. That's the only difference between the front and the back, the zip allowance. So we're back from the sewing machine. We've sewn in the darts. As you can see, you just follow the line from straight down. Just capture everything, keep it this way and you sew. So the next thing now is to join the shoulders. And if you are yet to watch my shorts or 2 minutes video on how to join the shoulders, you will have to do that. After that, you now join. And once you join it, you are done sewing your penciled gown. And like I told you, you can see it's so short. I'm going to add what is it called, 3 steps flay to it. And of course, I'm going to make a video on how to cut that out and how to join it. Thank you so much for watching. Please share this video. Please like. And then if you are yet to subscribe. If you have any question, leave it in the comment section. I will attend to it as soon as possible. Thanks for watching. Bye.